How will tonight's drafters handle the Broncos' backfield? Will Jahmyr Gibbs be drafted as the number one running back tonight? And what will the fantasy fallout be because of the Isaiah Likely news? Follow along with the live draft board tonight and watch our pick-by-pick analysis as we call the action from the 2025 FFPC Pros versus Joe's Rolling Stones Division number 6 to see who's going to win a 2026 FFPC Main Event squad. We've got a great show for you. Farrell Elliott and Dave Terpoli are here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. The final draft of the 2025 FFPC Pros versus Joe's competition starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Farrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Farrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics hanging out with us tonight, and Farrelliacs for that matter. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. My co-hosts are the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Farrell Elliott, and the 14-time league champion in the FFPC, Dave Terpoli. Tonight we have the sixth and final of 6 episodes for you. It's the 2025 FFPC Pros versus Joe's Rolling Stones Division number 6 draft. We'll be covering it for you pick by pick. Shout out to the chat room right now. Post any questions you might have for us in there. You can connect with the show at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at Dave Terp. Also check out Farrell Elliott's Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com. You also can connect with us, Facebook.com/HSFF Hour, and email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Send in your questions. Now we'll get to all the chat room questions, all the X posts, and all the Facebook posts in our fantasy feedback segment. Well, not even our fantasy feedback segment. We'll just do it throughout the whole show tonight. Thanks to our producer and mutual friend, Rob, our audio engineer, my best friend, Bryce. Main event going strong with the FFPC $1 million grand prize. Sign up for that now. Remember, if you're already in it, you're going to get $600 off each additional team. Slow and live drafts going on right now at myffpc.com. That's also where you can register for the Big Gorilla. Big Gorilla features a $1 million grand prize, just $350 to get into that one, and you get a $50 discount on every third team that you purchase there. Don't forget about the 7 Bananas promo. If you keep randomly getting that 7 pick multiple times in a row, we're going to keep giving you free teams. FFPC Best Ball Tournament teams, FFPC Main Event teams, FFPC High Society teams, and of course, if you get it 5 times in a row, you get that Jungle Safari for $4 or $50,000 cash. Best Ball tournaments going on at myffpc.com, both Superflex and Classic. Enter for as little as $35. You can win a $300,000 grand prize, $100K runner-up grand prize in that Best Ball tournament for the first time ever this year. And of course, Dynasty Fantasy Football alive and well going on at myffpc.com. 2,000 plus Dynasty leagues over the last decade and a half. None have ever folded. Check it out at myffpc.com. Let's bring in my first co-host for the evening. You follow him on the X at Dave Terp. He is a 14-time FFPC league champion. Dave Terpoli, welcome back onto the show. So glad to have you aboard tonight, man.
I missed you guys. 2 great shows without me.
Well, thank you. I don't know how great they can be without you, but we're excited to have your analysis for the program tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I thought last night's draft was a lot of fun, but we got a good one lined up here tonight too, Terp. I want to bring in my other co-host for the evening. You follow him on the X at KFFSC Official. You play his Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com. Please welcome in the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, one Farrell Elliott. Farrell, good evening. Happy Tuesday to you, my friend.
Gentlemen, it's good to see you both. And Terp looks front and center. He's very impressive tonight. That's cool, Balky. What are you drinking?
Always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, thank you, Terp. What are you drinking, Balky?
This is what's called a Sprite Zero. And that will get me through the first 45 minutes. And then I'm switching to a LaCroix passion fruit sparkling water, which is going to be delicious. Very looking forward to that.
I can tell your wife is doing the shopping in the house.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's
meanwhile, is I got a little after dinner coffee and Jameson, and then I'm going to get out the bourbon and mix it with a little ginger ale, but not until we see great choices from this group. And right there, Terp's in the middle, and another favorite of ours, Darren Armani, sitting up there in the middle.
He is drafting at the 6th spot tonight. He's on the clock right now. We'll talk about his first-round pick, but I want to take everybody through the first round for what we have tonight for the final PVJ of the season. John Rozek, the FFPC Joe, said, Jamar Chase be damned. I'm taking Bijan Robinson at the 101.
There it is.
With Robinson there. Theo Gremminger takes Jamar Chase at the 102. Justin Jefferson goes to Nate Modisette and Stephen Perry at the 103. Brock Bowers goes to 4 for 4's John Paulsen at the 104. Right after that, Nick Thompson, the FFPC Joe, takes Saquon Barkley. Darren Armani, the godfather of the FFPC Pros versus Joe's Challenge, and the webmaster for FantasyMojo.com. At FantasyMojo on the X. I always say it, if you play in the FFPC, make sure you get a subscription to Darren Armani's FantasyMojo website, worth its weight in gold, not only in the preseason, but during the season as well. Darren Armani is drafting 6 tonight. He grabs Christian McCaffrey. Jahmyr Gibbs falls all the way to 107 tonight to Scott Schoenwolf, the FFPC Joe. Michael Nazarek grabs CeeDee Lamb at the 108, followed by Eric Young taking Malik Neighbors at the 109. Trey McBride off the board to Doug Orth from FF Today and Fantasy Points at the 110. Ashton Genty and Derrick Henry round things up. Genty to the mad genius of football for Todd Aaron, a guy we had on the program here about 3 weeks or so ago, 2 weeks, maybe it was. And then Derrick Henry to Jim Coventry from RotoWire. Excellent choice there. I know you love it, Farrell. Derrick Henry, as a tribute to you, makes it into the first round tonight.
No way. That's fantastic. I love that. And the Todd Aaron, Todd's playing a little Kentucky football this year, a little KFFSC. Seems like everybody wishes they were playing in the KFC or enjoys the fact that they have planned, or maybe going to talk about it next year. Everybody but Terp.
I was waiting for that. Right when you started, I knew where you were going with that.
Everybody but Terp.
7 minutes into the show, and we already have it, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought it was going to take that long.
The hard sell to get Terp down to Louisville, which is fantastic.
Everybody but Terp.
Terp, what do you make of Bijan Robinson at the 101? I guess I can get behind it. I've done it myself in a Kentucky league already this year. There's a lot of people that feel the need to take Chase, and that's cool. But I'm all for Bijan Robinson, I should say. Certainly a guy that could easily pay this off. But I am surprised to see it tonight from John Rozek.
Anytime last year I had the chance at that number 1 pick, I took Bijan Robinson every single time. I would do the same this year. I'm not sitting here saying it's like a clear cut, but between him and Jamar Chase, I think they're slightly above everybody else. So I'm good with either of them going in the number 1 pick. Bijan he's just a freak, man. I mean, you saw that video that came out the other day of him running through the drills. He looks like a gazelle out there. It's just he's a freak of nature, and I feel like with Penix, it's going to even unlock him even more to, get, I think Algier, the worry of Algier last year kind of got, thrown away. Robinson's the best running back in football, obviously with Saquon Barkley, Gibbs, and Christian McCaffrey, if he's healthy, we can talk about. But I just think Robinson is a clear cut, 1 for me, and, I'm a fan of it.
Terp, current images would suggest that in week 1, you pulled all your hair out when Bijan Robinson led the Falcons into
every ounce of hair,
and they turn, and all you see coming in is Algier.
I remember that game I remember exactly where I was, and I remember watching that. I think they kicked like 5 field goals in that game. It was a Co game or Coup or whatever his last name is.
Awful.
And it was a disaster. Kirk Cousins looked awful.
Yeah,
I remember that game really, really well.
Algier got multiple carries inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, it drove me nuts. I remember I was at a bar for a birthday party watching the game. I was not a happy camper, but things turned around real quick, and they finally got their brains back. I thought Arthur Smith was still there.
The great thing about you is when you're not happy, no one can really tell the difference of normal.
Same way every time.
That's that poker face, buddy.
That's how we do it.
So guys, what I want to do here, Terp, is post Theo Gremminger from Fantasy Points, who's drafting from the 1 spot or 2 spot tonight. Excuse me. He's the the pro that is drafting first, but he is in the 2 spot. He said, Terp all over my start. I don't know if he means specifically Bijan Robinson, but what do you make about the 2nd round and the 3rd round here? Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins back-to-back to go with Robinson.
So me and Theo had a little conversation before the show started, because he was picking 2, what he thought he'd be looking at, based off the other drafts that have been going so far. And he was thinking about Brock Bowers or a couple other guys that, Bijan, obviously, if Jamar Chase went 1. I love his start. Theo's my guy, so I'll still be critical of him. But my guess is he would have took A.J. Brown if he fell, but I think Ladd McConkey's a solid, consolation prize. And everybody knows my opinions on Chase Brown. I'll take Chase Brown in every single draft. I get a chance to take Chase Brown. He was my guy last year, and I'll just continue to draft him. On that offense, you can get as much as possible. I mean, that route tree should be real small. So it's, to me, Chase, Brown. I'm probably Higgins, not as high on Higgins as most, but you still got to mix him in because you saw at the end of the season, that opportunity that he put out there to win people a lot of money. But I love Theo's start so far. Very, very
That's
good.
a great start. We talked about Turp when we missed you last night. We talked about McConkey. At least I thought McConkey should have gone sooner where he went last night, and I think it was.
He's been all over. He's been all. I've seen him.
I thought it was like 2.5
2.6. I've seen him go all the way as high as 2.5, 2.3 in some drafts. So this 3rd round, I feel like is going to, as we get closer into drafting season for most of people who aren't lunatics like all of us. I think this 2nd round is going to be all over the place. I mean, you see Josh Jacobs getting pushed up. You see, Nico Collins, down a little bit more. Brian Thomas down. Drake London down. Kittle moving up. A.J. Brown continuing to fall. McConkey all over the place. Tyreek moving up. Like, you're going to see these. It's a little more, funky this year when it comes with picks. I mean, guys are all over the place, which is good, which is fun because it's not just like, some of the years you see, it's just like, all right, the 1st round's done, 2nd round's the same. Maybe a pick or 2 off, but everything's like pretty much an ADP or whatever people like to draft. But this year, I feel like it's going to be a little bit different because
it's going to be a little different, buddy. That's why you should draft.
Look at Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Anthony Richardson gets some positive press, and Jonathan Taylor gets moved to the 3rd round, in the middle of the 3rd round, not even early.
It could be incidental. It could be incidental.
It could be, but people are going to start worrying about Anthony Richardson if the press continues to be positive. That's what the preseason's there for, to hype up guys and bring guys down. So
you gotta look away from that, Turk. You gotta look away.
It's hard sometimes because it's right there in your face. Twitter, the news, whatever you follow. Some of these big time websites are out there, pumping information, and you see guys that. Where's Roma Dunze gonna go on the draft tonight? I mean, he's a guy that you haven't heard a thing about in the preseason, but you hear one little piece, and now he's going to start skyrocketing up draft boards. So it's hard to see what's real and what's not.
What's real is listening to Balky, and you said something about maniacs. I just got a text from a maniac Fenton out in California. He tells me that you are on the clock in the KFFSC, but it's a slow draft, Balky, and it'll wait.
Hold on. Not anymore, because I just
not anymore.
I just
made it. Was your selection, so I can boo it.
It was. Let's see, what pick was it? It was in the 6th round. I want to say. I think let me think about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think it was my 6th round pick, 604, 605. I took Travis Hunter as my number 3 receiver there. So we'll see what happens with it. I believe that's correct. Let me just verify here. 604. Yeah, 604, Travis Hunter. So there you go.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, Terp, I want to thank you for saving me. I led you in with Rozek's team at the 1. Obviously, all the smart people who are watching this saw that Theo Gremminger is drafting in the 2 spot with Chase McConkey and then Chase Brown. So he gets the 2 Bengals the 2 chases on the Bengals as well. Scott Hoyt is in the chat, former Pros versus Joe's competitor, longtime FFPC player. He says he likes the start that Eric Young is off to in slot 9, as well as Michael Nazarek from FF Mastermind at 8. Let's talk about the 9 spot here first, Farrell. Neighbors, Nakua, Smith, and Jigba. A little bit of value on Nakua tonight. And then he gets Jaden Daniels in the 4th round as the quarterback 3 at the 404. So certainly off to a very potent start here. Obviously, he knows he needs to do some work with running backs and tight ends, but we're only 25% of the way in, and this is a strong start from the FFPC Joe, Eric Young, Farrell.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Balky, and it is also Mr. Hoyt notices it, and it is the sexy start. These are exciting players at every position with unlimited ceilings. You would think maybe they hit it last year. and perhaps their teams with Smith and Jigma and Neighbors, perhaps they're going to play a little better this year. And we all love what's going on with Washington. So why not? He's off to a great start. It'll have to see the real artistry of his draft will come with what running backs and tight ends he can find and put together with them.
Terp, Nazarek, Mike Nazarek, who will be on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, I assume. I haven't talked to him about this, but he usually comes in the second week of August, so hopefully we'll get him on then. Couple of target hogs in Lamb and Collins to kick things off, and then a couple of heavy usage 3-down guys in Kyron Williams and James Conner. It's all about volume for these first 4 picks for Mike Nazarek at the 8 spot.
No negative things to say. I mean, James Conner starting to move up draft boards a little bit with, obviously some good quality coach speak that came out recently. So that's not a pick that, I would make that early. I think it's, probably a round too high. But, Kyron Williams, it's hard to, even people who've always hated on him like myself, it's hard not to see what's right in front of your face. I mean, what are his drawbacks? Sean McVay loves the guy. You might hate the guy. I might hate the guy.
Yeah.
But Sean McVay loves the guy. He will give him every carry possible until his legs fall off. So,
how many lifetime carries does Kyron Williams have?
Oh, yeah, we can look at that right
lifetime
now.
carries is
not a lot.
So if we are looking at his career carries, 3 years in the NFL, he has a total of 579. That's carries only, no catches.
579. It took 579 carries, Terp, for you to come over to be on this guy's side.
I didn't say I'm on the side. I just said that.
What did you say, Terp? I heard what you said. You said you had nothing negative to say about it.
Nothing negative to say, but I did not say I was on his side. I just say I'm neutral.
Neutral.
Guys,
I won't be drafting much Kyron Williams, but I'll have some.
Okay.
Very little.
Some fun stuff going on over at the left side of the board here right now. John Rozek at the number 1 spot. Number 1, he prevented, and I don't know if Theo was going to take T. Higgins there, but he gets Chase Brown instead, so he still does have a couple of Bengals in the first 3 rounds. But then since then, after starting Robinson, Hill, and Higgins, Rozek has gone back-to-back tight ends with Laporta and Hawkinson. Very interesting strategy here from Rozek from the 1 spot. Terp, I like to do fun stuff, but I usually like to do it in the middle when I can, rebound from it. When you do it on the end with back-to-back tight ends, maybe that'll work out. Maybe that'll push the tight ends up, and Rozek gets some value at running back or receiver, maybe even quarterback falling back to him. I always get nervous about, doing cute stuff like that, tight end, back-to-back early in the draft when I'm sitting at either one of the ends.
Yeah, I mean, ends are really tricky. I mean, yeah, some value can fall, but if you take big risks, you can get caught, especially in a best ball format, in a run that could really, really hamstring your team to where you're chasing. You see it all the time in quarterback runs, and tight end runs are no different. At the onesie positions, I mean, I'm not saying Laporta and Hawkinson are bad picks, but you're going to see a ton of receivers, a ton of running backs going off the board here. Quarterback used to be fine, and then when you come back to you in the 6th and 7th, you got Bijan, and that's a perfect start. If this was a Jamar Chase, Hill, Higgins, Laporta, Hawkinson, I would say it's worse than Bijan because you're getting an anchor running back. But it's risky for me because I would probably just take one and take in a Devonta Smith, a DK Metcalf, a George Pickens, guys like that, should have probably been the pick. But, hey, you're going for first. So if Laporta and Hawkinson are top 5 tight ends, you're probably finishing first in this league. And if they're not, who cares?
I like the way you talked yourself into that, Terp. I liked that. And I
would never do it myself, but
yeah,
this league's different. It's hard. It's hard because every tomorrow we have a main event coverage with the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast. Very excited about it. 2 great guys. One of them's an Eagle fan, so we love him more. But
it's great analysis.
That's going to be exciting because that's the main event. I mean,
that may be the best analysis I've ever heard you do.
I know. Well, I'm saying it's the truth. They know it. It's going to be a fun show. We always have fun on Wednesday.
No, I'm talking about what you have to say about Rozek's team.
Oh, well, the other thing to point out there too is John Rozek, great guy, volume drafter. Sometimes I think some of these
extremely smart at what he does.
Yeah.
No shade at all thrown at him. He does a ton of these, whether it's best ball, whether it's gorillas, whether it's main events. He knows what he's doing.
And he's also a Packers fan living in Illinois, which I appreciate.
Making it all right.
The thing I wanted to point out, speaking of the Eagles here, Terp, Devonta Smith goes off the board at the 502 to Theo Gremminger, and Theo went with Burrow in the round before. It's supposed to be fun, and Theo is having some fun here with not one, not two, but 3 Cincinnati Bengals in the top 4 rounds. This is a lot. I don't know, Terp, have you been seeing this in your drafts that somebody in the 1, the 2, maybe probably not the 3, well, maybe the 3 spot if you don't get Chase, sometimes you get a Higgins, Chase Brown, Joe Burrow stack. You can get that. I've been seeing these on the left side of the board at some of the big gorillas.
I'm pretty much seeing them in every gorilla. I mean, everybody is going after either Chase Higgins, Chase Brown, and then Joe Burrow at some point in the 4 or 5. Some people are pushing him to the 6. It's a rare thing where he falls all the way back to you, but I've seen it happen before. But the Bengals stack is extremely popular early on. We always see every year. Mojo puts up all the stacks that are just, the most popular ones out there. And most of the time they don't pan out. Do I think this one could? I don't see a path unless an injury happens that this stack doesn't get there. I've been doing it a lot, picking from, for some reason, I keep getting the 2, 3, 4 picks, mixing in some 1. So I'm not sitting here saying it's not popular, but it's kind of hard not to do because these are the guys there. Like, I mean, if you're getting Chase 1, Chase Brown's going to be there in most cases. And then if you're doing that, why not get Burrow if he has the opportunity? What, are you going to pass on Burrow? It just doesn't make any sense if the opportunity's there.
Team 8 is getting my attention, guys.
Yeah, that's Michael Nazarek's squad. We talked about the 4 volume guys he got in the first 4 rounds with Lamb, Collins, Kyron Williams, and Connor. And he follows it up, Farrell, with another volume guy, an Alvin Kamara, a guy who was utilized quite a bit. And I said on the show this week, I can't remember if it was Sunday or Monday, it's a team that was not very good last year that had poor quarterback play. And you could make the case that they're as bad this year, maybe a little bit better with the return of Shaheed and Olave. But a rising tide raises all ships. Kamara did it when the team was bad. If the team's mediocre this year, he's going to do it again. I feel like I need more Kamara on my team. And Farrell, I think you concur.
I do, sir. I really like what the young quarterback will be able to do, and he'll be enjoyable to watch as he goes through the season. I don't think we're going to see a guy get pulled and sent to the bench because he can't handle it early. I think he's going to get incrementally better every week, and by the end of the year, he's going to play like a mid-range quarterback, and that'll be great for everyone that you add as a fantasy football player to the Saints. Obviously, I think even Turp would agree. Kamara in the right side of the 5th is a pretty good bargain.
My stance on Kamara is very simple, and it's been like this for probably last year and this. Kamara can get you there, but can he win it for you? He did it a long time ago, but the Saints are going to be very bad. No matter, I mean, obviously there's a small % chance that they could be better than people think they are, but in most people's eyes, they're the worst team in the NFL on paper. So, if Kamara gets there early, is there a world where he just gets shut down or maybe gets, dealt at the deadline to a running back needy team, which could make his value better?
Well, you got an over-under wins on the Saints?
Oh, I'll look that up.
All right.
It's got to be one of the worst in football. I would be surprised if it's not the worst. I mean, what? There's just.
It's got to be better than Cleveland.
The worst in pro football is Cleveland at
really?
4.5. 4.5. However, just ahead of them are the Titans, Jets, Giants, and the Saints at 5.5.
There you go.
So they are bottom tier there for sure. Guys, I want to talk about Scott Schoenwolf's team. He's about to be up. Steven Yergalos is in the YouTube chat right now, the fantasy soprano, the father soprano, as it were. Congrats against the Yergaloses. Scott Schoenwolf's team, Team 7, he started off with Jahmyr Gibbs at the 107, so that was really surprising. We're going to talk about that, how far he fell tonight. Brian Thomas, Lamar Jackson, and then Marvin Harrison and Zay Flowers. Scott Hoyt has said that this team just keeps getting better, and we'll see what happens here with the 6th-round pick. But obviously, my analysis on Gibbs at 7, congratulations. That is awesome. Didn't see it coming. I think Brian Thomas falling all the way to the 206. I'd have to look up the mojo on that, but I'd be willing to bet that was a couple of slots after his ADP. Lamar Jackson in the mid-3rd. And then Marvin Harrison, who I continue to believe is a bargain right now. Zay Flowers, I haven't made up my mind on. Turp, didn't you say last week you were off Flowers, or am I making that up?
You're 100% correct. I am not drafting much Zay Flowers.
Okay, all right. So the Flowers pick we don't like, but what? And now he gets DeAndre Swift as his second running back here, a current Lion in Gibbs and a former Lion in Swift. Guys, what do you make? And Farrell, I'll throw this to you right now, and Terp, I want you to weigh in on this. What do you make of Schoenwolf's team here? Lamar Jackson, Gibbs and Swift, Brian Thomas, Harrison, and Flowers.
I like Flowers best when he is paired with Jackson, so I can live with that. I'm not a Harrison guy. Everyone else is. Gibbs is one of the most exciting players of the league. Swift is where I think the action goes with that ball club at the running back. I like the team.
The team is solid, and Terp, I guess, with the exception of does the Flowers pairing with Lamar Jackson make you like the pick anymore?
Makes me like it a little bit more. There's a lot of guys in Baltimore, and are there any of them really that much better than the other one? Is Zay Flowers that much better than Rashad Bateman?
Turp is on to something because Flowers has been overdrafted for a while. He can't be out talented. He's got tremendous talent.
He's a talented kid, but
he's been overdrafted. The numbers don't suggest there's a lot of guys in this business who'll catch 70 balls, and I think that's
look at the guys who are being drafted around them.
Yeah,
George Pickens, I would take 100 times over 100 over Zay Flowers.
Does the Bateman contract extension? Do we read anything into that as far as how we think the Ravens are going to treat Flowers this year, or am I just reading too much?
I don't think that's anything to worry about. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is there, is going to muck it up a little bit. Obviously, likely got hurt, but he's still going to be around. Mark Andrews is going to be around. They're still a running football team. They're a team that should have a lot of positive game scripts and be ahead in most games, so that would be negative to Zay Flowers. I don't know where he's being drafted. If you told me I can get Zay Flowers in the late 6th, early 7th, I would probably be a buyer. Yeah. But in the 5th round, being drafted around Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, George Pickens, Ted McMillan, guys like that, Travion Henderson.
Those guys that you're throwing out there, though, their quarterback didn't throw how many touchdown passes last year, Balky?
41.
41 touchdown passes. There's where the Zay Flowers thing becomes interesting because
it's surely in the range of possibilities.
Yes, sir.
Guys, the Scott Hoyt is also pointing out too regarding the Flowers conversation that he's better than Bateman. No argument there. I just brought that up because of the monetary investment, the financial investment. I thought it raised an eyebrow when you already had Flowers that you're investing into Bateman. And then he points out that Isaiah Likely is hurt now too, and we don't know how serious it is, but certainly that would create some more targets for everybody, really. Andrews, Bateman, and of course Zay Flowers as well. Farrell, your interpretation of this injury for Likely, I guess we don't know the extent of it, but it sounds fairly significant. I mean, we're going to be drafting Likely probably blind, I would say, definitely in Louisville and maybe into Las Vegas as well.
You probably need to avoid that because I have no idea. We'll hear what happens. Some of these, injuries early on in camp, they end up not being as serious. But I hate that this player is going to miss time because I really, really like this player. Mr. Hoyt is in competition for the most obvious comment tonight. Bateman is better. Flowers is better than Bateman. Sure he is. Flowers is better. He's more talented than a lot of these guys going in front of him. But as Terp so eloquently aligned it, the situation for fantasy football is different.
The Team 6 tonight, guys, we have to talk about Bill Hollywood was already chiming in on this, that he was most interested to see what Rozek and what Armani did, but mostly Armani tonight. Armani with the true rainbow start tonight. Running back, tight end, quarterback, and wide receiver, his first 4 picks. He's added George Pickens and Jalen Waddle onto Terry McLaurin, Josh Allen, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey at the 106. Terp, I think McCaffrey is a fine pick this year at the end of the first round. But if I have Gibbs and McCaffrey staring me in the face in a league where I have to win the whole thing in order to get anything, unless I take second and I get a pair of socks from Farrell, I'm taking Gibbs 10 times out of 10 over McCaffrey. That's a head scratcher for me, McCaffrey over Gibbs.
And I understand that, and I get what you're saying. But my question is, why? What's wrong with McCaffrey? You've seen the ceiling that he could put up, and he could possess in a league where the only person that matters is the team that wins. So to me, if there's one, you see it all over in Scott Fishbowl. I've seen a couple tweets that's been out there, And obviously, in this contest where there's only one winner, to me, either one of those guys is fine. I'm not downgrading either one of them, but I think McCaffrey is just as valuable as Gibbs because if everything works out, McCaffrey should be a top 1 or 2 pick going into next year with, the type of ceiling he could put out there. Same thing with Gibbs. I mean, everything positive has been about Christian McCaffrey so far. He's healthy. He's moving around. Obviously, you get the ball. There's not really that much behind him that you worry about. The receivers are banged up, so that's to get him more targets. I agree with what you're saying. I would take, Gibbs over McCaffrey, but I don't think it's crazy in this type of format just because you're shooting for that, overall winner and league winner. So to me, McCaffrey is just as high as Gibbs on to get you there. I like what Mojo did tonight. I think his draft's in the top 3 right now.
Yeah,
I did a really good job.
I am not saying it's crazy that he took McCaffrey over Gibbs. I get the argument for it. What it comes down to for me is, and I guess the big selling point is McCaffrey's not sharing the backfield with David Montgomery, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs is, but Gibbs is younger. I know the schedule gets quite a bit tougher for Detroit this year. The Niners schedule gets much easier. And then we had this little nugget come out of training camp from Colton Pouncey from The Athletic today that Jahmyr Gibbs has usually been the first back on the field with the starters. Why is this interesting? Because in previous years, Montgomery would usually get the bulk of the first bulk of carries with Gibbs, working in later. Sort of how they treated him in games too, right? We saw Montgomery pound it in the first quarter, soften up that defense. Gibbs would just wreck it in the second and third quarters, and then Montgomery would just ice the game out essentially. Yeah. But this is interesting where maybe Gibbs is out there more than Montgomery. More fuel to the fire here. I guess maybe Farrell, it's different strokes for different folks here. I'm taking Gibbs. Terp totally gets the McCaffrey argument over Gibbs. I think you probably would have leaned towards Gibbs here as well.
I would. McCaffrey now, for years, drafting McCaffrey was like inviting yourself to split aces. Now it's more like splitting eights. He's and Gibbs, to me, I might move McCaffrey even further down. And if you ask anyone who took McCaffrey in the first round last year, and this is why he just drops in the drafts,
they were broke.
They're not going to do it this year. They're gun shy on it this year. Man,
they might be gun shy, but that's not stopping drafters from taking him. And he's moving up draft boards.
If they weren't gun shy, he would be the first player picked. You just said it'd already be in the top 3.
Well, we're talking about something 2 years ago. People still have that in their brain,
yes,
but that
that's
doesn't
what
mean
I
the
just
talent's
said.
not there.
They got it in their brain, and that's why he's going to go.
Where did Christian McCaffrey start the drafting process this year going?
Oh gosh, I can
early second round.
Mojo.
Yeah,
early second round. Now he's being. I've seen him go as high as 1.5, 1.6 in drafts.
He went 1.6 tonight, Terp. That's where you saw that.
Exactly, and I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's
no,
crazy.
and no one's saying it's crazy. We're just saying that it's unusual and will likely not be seen again. And you're going to have lots of chances to pick him because.
Oh, don't worry. If I have the opportunity to take McCaffrey, I will take him.
If he's available in every first round where you're drafting, if you're not in the top 4, will you be picking him? Will you pick him 5 in every draft?
No, I'm not saying I will do that, but I will definitely have more than the majority of Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, fair enough.
The other thing too is, and I can't remember who was. Somebody mentioned this in the chat room earlier about Big Gorilla tonight, or Big Gorilla that's going on right now. Where George Kittle fell to the 308. Darren Armani gets him at the 207 tonight. So his first 2 picks here tonight are 49ers, and you could make the case if things fall correctly. And I'm not saying this is likely, but it's possible. He could have the number 1 running back, number 1 tight end, and number 1 quarterback on his team this year with his first 3 picks in McCaffrey, Kittle, and Allen. And that's certainly a good way to do it. And now it's just, I can't remember who said, Bill Hollywood said in the chat right now, Team 6 is not missing McLaurin, Pickens, Waddle, Judy. So he got his elite guys early on at these other positions, including the 2 onesie positions. And then you have all these receivers coming in. McLaurin, who I still think has a depressed value a little bit because of the hold in. George Pickens, who I think people are a little bit gun shy on because of playing with CeeDee Lamb and knowing what a target monster that dude's been. And he's got a develop chemistry on a new offense with a new OC, new head coach, new quarterback, so on and so forth. Jalen Waddle, who knows in Miami what that offense is going to look like. And Tyreek Hill is steaming up a little bit here. So you're looking at with those three players, and then Jerry Jeudy, who could be the number one receiver on his team in the mid-7th round. These are all, I don't want to say misfit toys, but these are all guys that you can see why they're going where they are. But you can also see the upside with all four of these receivers too, Farrell.
Yeah, certainly. And I'm sorry, I got distracted there. I've got a lot going on. That's my apologies.
That's okay. That's okay.
But we got it. I love what's going on with these tight ends.
We should talk about this too. Team 11, the mad genius of fantasy football here, Todd Aaron. He is the mad genius of Kansas City Chiefs football right now. Xavier Worthy in the 3rd, Rashee Rice in the 4th, Kelsey in the 5th, Mahomes in the 6th. So 4 straight Kansas City Chiefs there. And Terp, if we are to believe everything, all the reports that the Kansas City passing offense is back this year, this is quite the coup for Todd Aaron here in the 11 slot tonight.
Love the stack. A little overkill for me. Probably one too many. You're literally betting on a Peyton Manning type of season, back in the day with the Broncos for this type of build to hit. Obviously, taking Pearsall and Debo helps that out a little bit. Getting the 2 stud running backs to start. I think it's a little risky, but hey, you're going for a win. I would never do this in a managed format, ever.
Yeah. So if it was one too many, would you have eliminated Rashee Rice out of there and taken Worthy, Kelsey, and Mahomes and just called it good?
Probably. I
Okay.
mean, that's probably what I would have done in this type of format, just because, Rice can be that late season hammer that gets you there. But if that Chiefs stack doesn't pan out early in the season, you might be too far behind for it to matter.
He's 1 pick away from being an honorary member of the Hunt family. This is fantastic. I love what he's doing here.
Real quick, though, a team that we have not mentioned yet, which I think is one of the best drafted teams so far in this tournament, is Team 10. I really like what they did.
Yeah.
Very, very sharp owner. Every pick I love. The Shakir pick I'm not the biggest fan of. I just want to make sure I brought that up because Mr. Elliott over here.
Yeah, well, it's because you can't count. I love you anyway.
But every other pick, Jameson Williams in the 6th round, sign me up for that every single draft. If I ever see him in the 6th round, I will take him 100% of the time. Tet McMillan falling that far. I've seen him go in the 4th round of drafts. Kenneth Walker, who nothing but positive so far from the coach and just overall. Amari Hampton, again, Najee Harris reports that came out today that don't sound promising. St. Brown falling a little bit. And then obviously Trey McBride. He's just missing Jared Goff, a little bit later. And this team could be my favorite to win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look at it from the standpoint of you get all those targets locked up in your first 2 rounds with McBride and St. Brown. You mentioned the Najee Harris news, and we've already seen where Amari and Hampton's been going in some of the pros versus Joes, like late 2nd round. He falls tonight to the 310, so good value there. I'm a big Kenneth Walker fan this year, so Doug gets the volume there. I mean, that's a lot of volume in your first 4 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Good value on McMillan, the explosive playmaking of Jameson Williams. And then the steady touch of Khalil Shakir. I know Terp doesn't like it, but that's okay. And then Emeka Egbuka, who's really been ascending up draft boards right now too, because of the Chris Godwin reports that we're getting out of Tampa. So I wouldn't say that Shakir and Egbuka are explosive players, but in this format, that they can flex out and do you good on those weeks where you need just some kind of steady production. And I think that you're going to get it there for sure. That is Doug Orth from FF Today and Fantasy Points. Go ahead, Farrell.
I don't know if the Shakir commentary by Terp is just okay, but it's okay to disagree, Terp. I'm just I want to see some of the things you're doing because I'm going to assign someone to worry about your teams if you're not. Because if you're not going to take Shakir at this point, you're so 100% perfect on McMillan and Williams, but I don't understand why you can't see it in Shakir. But this is a great team. I like this
Very
team
good team.
than you do.
Very well drafted.
Because I love Shakir, and so that's If
I see no downside to that team so far.
Yes,
None.
no doubt. There you go.
Shakir or no Shakir. The team's as well drafted as you could have right now.
Balky, with bye weeks, how many NFL weeks do we have this year? Of course, we don't count the last week in fantasy football. So we're dealing with 17 weeks. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Balky, I'm going to check in with Terp 17 consecutive Sundays. First of all, make sure you're watching.
I'll always answer you. Don't worry.
I want to make sure you're
you too. Anytime you text, I'll always be there.
I can count on you, Terp. You're the greatest. But we are going to assign a watch committee for you, there, Terp.
I like it. I like a little watch committee.
We have Keon Coleman going off the board here at the 9:03 tonight. That is the FFPC Joe duo made up of Nate Modisette and Stephen Perry, or Modisette. I apologize, Nate, if I'm getting your name wrong. Keon Coleman goes there as his number 4 receiver to go with Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, and DK Metcalf. He has Jalen Hurts on this team as well, so the Eagles stack is strong, Brown, and Hurts. He gets Pollard, Etienne, and Breece Hall there at running back. And then Mark Andrews, again, could be a really good pick depending upon what happens with Isaiah Likely. We'll see there, tight end 9 for Andrews. A very solid, maybe unspectacular team. Maybe it is spectacular. I don't know. Farrell, I'll throw it to you on team 3 here. The Hurts-Brown stack leads this year. Interesting backfield being cobbled together and a pair of really strong receivers to start off this team.
Yeah, what I said about Flowers, that's really the only way I like Brown at that point. Terp, I want to go back to Terp and get his assessment on Pollard. I know he's given it to us already, but I didn't hear it. Andrews, I expect a big bounce back year. If he doesn't like Shakir, Terp, what do you think of Coleman?
You said, what do I think of Tony Pollard?
Yeah.
This is a multi-question. You got to keep
Coleman.
interested in your Pollard. I'm mostly interested in your Coleman because I want to hear about Coleman and Shakir being the bookends, so to speak. So
I don't really love Coleman. I don't have much Coleman.
How do you think Allen is going to be the number one quarterback?
On the
none of these guys
can
catch balls.
Josh Palmer's and the Dalton
Josh
Kincaid.
Palmer.
I'm not sitting here saying these are sexy names, but Josh Palmer. Shakir's going to be fine. I'm not hating on Shakir. I don't mind Shakir in the 7th round, but when he gets pushed up a little higher is where I'm probably out.
You said tonight you
honestly,
didn't
I just
like
don't think he's a good receiver. I've said that since he came out. I didn't like him coming out of college. He didn't show me anything last year. And I know, people are saying he looks better in camp and he's doing this and doing that. Let me see when the pads come on, when the lights come on, can Keon Coleman, produce? I'll take guys over him that are being drafted right around him.
I'm curious about that, but you have backpedaled so much on Shakir that you have now moved out of the end zone.
I mostly just brought up Shakir to troll you a little bit because we had that on our last show.
Let's go with Pollard.
Pollard's just. I
have agreed with Pollard for all these years, and it just won't completely happen for us. What's going to happen this year?
I will always draft Tony Pollard. He's not a sexy name. He's not an exciting name. Tajay Spears is obviously there. It's going to, he looked better. So it's obviously going to be, the ceiling is not as high with Tony Pollard. He's a very, very, very safe pick, which is fine if you're taking a running back 2 type of situation like this team did. Would I ever take Tony Pollard as my running back 1? No. I think the Titans are going to be a lot better than people think. I think Cam Ward's getting slept on in drafts. Do I think he's going to be a fantasy superstar? Not yet. But I think the Titans are going to be better. I think he is the real deal. Calvin Ridley's getting a lot of positive press moving up draft boards, but another guy, has been all over draft boards so far this summer. But Tony Pollard, like I said, nice name I'll draft. Love him as an RB2, RB3 if you're that high, if he falls a little bit more. But he's just not a sexy name. He's not a name where you see guys that are being look right next to him and both sides of him. RJ Harvey, hype, Broncos, Sean Payton, Travis Hunter, Jags, Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, the excitement. When you say Tony Pollard, it's just like
And that should help us that like the player.
I agree.
I will say regarding Pollard here, I would not take him as my running back 1 unless I went 0 RB. And a player that you'll never see him going 0 RB is our first guest on the show tonight.
We got a guest.
He is drafting from the 6th spot. He is the godfather of this Pros versus Joe's challenge, putting it together each and every year. He is the owner of FantasyMojo.com, and you can connect with him on the X at FantasyMojo. He is the incomparable Darren Armani. Darren Armani, welcome in, man. How you doing tonight?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
The question is here. How are you feeling about potentially having the top running back, the top tight end, and the top quarterback in fantasy football this year, all on the same team here in Pros versus Joe's?
Yeah, I mean that was the plan. I kind of scripted this out, assuming McCaffrey fell to me, and then I had to hope Kittle came back. So it kind of went the way I thought it would. So I'm taking the low hanging fruit. I mean, these guys they aren't just ceiling plays. They'll totally shatter a ceiling, on a given week. So, and now it's getting a little hot in here. I am like trying to fill out my running backs. So this is not how I usually build a team, but pros versus Joes will get a little exotic.
The question I have for you, Darren, Terp made a pretty strong argument for McCaffrey over Gibbs. Listen, scripting it out is fine, but I modify that script if Gibbs falls me at the 106. You kept strong with McCaffrey. Why do you like McCaffrey here better over Jahmyr Gibbs?
I like it. He fits the plan that I have for this draft better than Gibbs does. I could take either one of them, but seeing McCaffrey in camp now, like now that I see he's like he looks good. I mean, he could get hurt tomorrow, but in this format, I just got to swing for the fences, and it's more of a kind of a, from a top down perspective, he's going to fit my build a little bit more. I could go either way on a given draft. Like if I was picking from the 4 spot, there I might have gone Gibbs because I don't think Kittle would have made it back to me there. Mm-hmm. So it's more just a construction play.
It was important to have both McCaffrey and Kittle on this team then because of locking up both those Niners then?
For me, yeah. Otherwise, I would have went down a totally different path. If I didn't get Kittle, then I don't know that I would have taken Allen. I could have went down like a different shoot altogether.
Why Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson over Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
Because if I look at, first of all, when I'm looking at the teams last year that won their divisions, 6 out of the 7 teams either had Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. So Allen, like I said, he's going to have spike weeks, but he can put up a 50 burger. He could put up a 40 burger. He just goes that much further in a given week than Jackson for me. Now Jackson might have more 30-point weeks overall for the season, but I'm hoping that just the smash potential of Allen's going to do it for me. And again, based on what I saw last year, but I think Allen's just going to do it again. I mean, he's pretty much that whole team. So. Yeah.
You have been following. I mean, obviously, you follow the pros versus shows more closely than anybody, Darren. You just mentioned that 6 of the 7 division winners last year had either Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. Any other tasty nuggets you noticed when you were looking at last year's teams and formulating your championship draft strategy for 2025?
Just how the people who win these leagues typically. Like you're going to have to hit on your early picks, but then the people who win are the ones who nail, 1 or 2 guys and at the end of their draft. Like those are the guys that kind of put them over the top. Like the guy who won it last year, who won the whole thing, Rob Cannon, the PVJ champion. He drafted Jordan Mason in the last round, and that's what really set him apart from all the other teams. So you have to do it right in the early rounds. Just don't mess it up. But it's going to be what you do from rounds 10 to 20 that's really going to set you apart. And actually, I won my league last year, but I took a lot of zeros. I mean, I got a little caught up in the Kamani Vidal train, and I mean, there was those guys like you start listening to too much of the hype going around, and those guys are going to end up on your roster, and those they're zeros for most of the season. So it's tough at this point, before preseason games actually start. You're really just kind of taking swings at some of these guys. But so
the pick that you are looking at for your next one here is 1007. You're on deck for it as Scott Schoenwolf is looking to draft a player here. He might be after some green as well. It sounds like you're probably going to go running back here, Darren. Am I reading that correctly?
Let's see what Scott does.
Oh, so it may be affected by what Scott's pick is here. He goes Colston Loveland, the tight end, and now you are on the clock here, Darren Armani, at the 10:07. Take us through this pick.
So, the only 2 guys on the left side of the board have their quarterback, so they're going to start to go. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to grab my Purdy pick here.
Love it.
To lock that up.
with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle.
Right.
Brock Purdy will be the selection here at 10:07. So you have the Niners stack, and that will help you. There's a lot of stacks going on in this, Darren.
Yeah, a lot of
tonight.
stacks.
I don't remember really seeing this many in previous Pros versus Joe's draft. So maybe I'm just more sensitive to it tonight here. But obviously the Niner stack was part of the plan for you.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, in this format, stacks aren't essential. You know, I mean, you're not in a tournament where you need just you're not trying to beat. There is an overall title, but I mean, the carrot that you're going for is sort of the main event entry to win your league. And if you happen to finish first overall, then that's just that's nice to get that belt.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this is a confined league, so try to do a little stacking, but like don't go bananas. It's a total points format as well. You're not playing for the spike weeks and like 15, 16, 17 playoff weeks. It's total points. So here you see the quarterbacks going now. So Knicks went like Purdy wasn't going to make it back to me if I didn't take him.
No. What two great quarterbacks with Allen and Purdy, and you've got other teams over here with lesser number one quarterback than what you've got at 1 and 2.
Yeah. So we're doing all right, but again, it's a little hot in here. So it's just you play running back chicken, and you don't know. The one pick I kind of maybe would have taken back the Waddle pick. Like I was thinking about taking a running back there. Like I was thinking RJ Harvey, but I was hoping one of those guys would come back to me.
Could have had Pollard. Made me and Terp happy.
Are you playing nice with Terp tonight? You guys getting along?
Oh, we get along. Man.
Best positive tonight.
All right, that's good. You got to get Terp out to Kentucky.
It's not going to happen during my lifetime, but
I'll be out there by the time I turn 50. I promise.
He is on my required pallbearers list.
I got 9 years left to get out there.
Yeah. Once you get the kids all grown up, then you get a little more.
Exactly. That's exactly exactly my plan. Once the kids get grown up, my kids are young. I'll have no excuses. I'll be out there within the next 9 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Darren, I want to give you an opportunity to talk up Fantasy Mojo. I say it all the time on the FFPC family of podcasts that everybody who's drafting in the FFPC should have a subscription in Fantasy Mojo. I always cite the ADP. That's probably my favorite part of it. But, to see what you have done and expanded all the data that you have on here now, it's really overwhelming, but super useful for all the FFPC players who subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, if you're even if you're just a high stakes player, I mean, we get guys who subscribe that, they play more in other formats as well. But to me, it's the essential companion to having to playing in the FFPC. Like you almost need to have it just to give you the macro view of what's going on, not just ADP we do have 16 flavors of ADP, right? Because you guys have so many formats and stuff to keep up with that. But then just leaderboards and stuff. Once you get into the playoff weeks, the sprint weeks, we got a lot of content around that. And of course, for a lot of people, it's like sitting down with their morning newspaper and then just looking at the draft boards from the previous night. But there's so much stuff there. I tell people just go to the virtual tour and check out and see what all we have. So, and it's funny, like sometimes I'll get a new subscriber and I see like a name I recognize. I'm like, dude, what took you so long? Like, a guy who's been playing in the main event for years and finally they subscribe. So I'm not out there on Twitter, like promoting it constantly. That kind of rubs people the wrong way. I'm not out there trying to sell people stuff. You know me. Bulky. I'm a little modest with this stuff.
I do all the selling for you. I'm always.
You do. I appreciate that.
Amen.
That's why I got to get. I get you a little bourbon out in Kentucky.
Oh, perfect. I'm always on board for that. Very excited for that. Guys, we are coming up here. We're through the first half of the draft, Darren. And I have to ask you how much your strategy switches now that we are in the back end of Pros versus Joes here. I know people usually swing for the triples and the home runs here. In a normal fantasy football high stakes draft with the FFPC, does that get amplified for you? Are you really swinging for big time home runs here for the majority of these next 10 picks?
So now I got a lot of flexibility. I kind of got my foundation set, and I can just pick the guys that I like, and I can go. I'm done with quarterback. In case anybody's watching, I'm not drafting any more quarterbacks. And I'll just be grabbing my choice of running back, wide receiver, and tight ends from here on out.
The good thing about that, and you're in the middle too. So if there's any runs or whatever, you can kind of see them coming. You can adjust on the fly, which is always kind of nice. Farrell, I think you're the guy that always tells me you hate being in the middle, right?
Yes, but I've changed over the years with that. One of the things is I love the end because it you can make one decision instead of sit there and agonize over multiple decisions as your players seem to all go away. It seems like when you're in the middle and you play against better players, that's what what you're going to find in the FFPC. That's what makes the middle somewhat uncomfortable for me. But the end's where I really prefer.
The hot seat getting a little uncomfortable for Darren Armani here? No, apparently not, because you have made the pick with plenty of time to spare. And what a surprise, it's another San Francisco 49er. How important was it to get McCaffrey's backup here for your plan?
That wasn't critical, but, that's a little insurance in case something goes south there. But to be honest, if McCaffrey goes out, like Garendo's not going to step in and he's not going to be McCaffrey. But it probably keeps me in the mix, so. Again, it's a confined league, so handcuffing your guy in this situation. I mean, after I've already got Ward and Tracy, so just at this spot, that seems like a reasonable pick to make.
I say it all the time. FantasyMojo.com is your go-to for all things FFPC data. Make sure you are subscribing and working your way to a pair of $1 million grand prizes with the help of one Darren Armani. Connect with them on X at FantasyMojo, FantasyMojo.com. Darren, thank you so much for all your hard work on the Pros versus Joes challenge. Again, I know what a bear it is to put together every single year, getting all these Joes together, getting all the pros together, getting everybody situated in all 7 drafts. Kudos to you, my friend. A job well done again in 2025. Enjoy the rest of the draft, and we will see you in Louisville and Las Vegas, right?
Yep. We'll be both spots this year.
Perfect. Excellent.
Darren,
be good. We'll talk with you again soon. Later on.
Right. See you.
That is Darren Armani, FantasyMojo.com at FantasyMojo on X. Certainly always fun to talk to that guy, and we'll be talking to him more in Louisville coming up in a few weeks. So he makes Garendo the 1106 pick tonight. Rashad White goes off the board to Scott Schoenwolf after that at the 1107. And Darnell Mooney, Farrell, to Michael Nazarek as his number 4 receiver here. What do you make of Mooney falling to the 11th round? Maybe I asked you about this already. So Terp, I want you to weigh in after Farrell's done. Mooney with the injury right now, expected to knock him out, I believe, most of camp. Somebody can correct me on that if that's not accurate. But Mooney's a bit of a wild card here, knowing that, we won't exactly see him getting these valuable reps with Michael Penix here. I still like Mooney. I'm still on him, and I'm buying the dip here, Farrell. Are you doing the same?
Yes, a solid speed veteran wide receiver. Now I like it even better. And Mooney, Michael Penix is about as far as you can get from a timing passer. So it doesn't really matter that they're missing time. Mooney's ability to get open, make the good catch. He's wonderful around the sidelines. He knows how to settle. I like everything about Darnell Mooney as a receiver. He's been plagued by situational quarterbacks that haven't been able to take advantage of his skill set. Now he's plagued a little bit by an injury. But in the 11th round, he's almost as good as Pittman in the 9th.
I want to get Terp's opinion on this, and I want to get to our next guest here. Are you also buying the value on Darnell Mooney right now?
Buy the dip with Mooney right now. Makes a ton of sense. There's nobody there really challenging, getting targets. It's Drake London. Even with the Mooney news, you don't see Kyle Pitts rising in drafts. So if that don't tell you anything, people just hate Pitts. They won't draft him. They're not believing any of this hype. So Mooney, you're getting a discount. He should be ready by the first week of the season. If for whatever reason he's not, it shouldn't be a long type of injury, so he should be back by week 2-3 at the latest. But yeah, I'm buying the tip. He's definitely a guy that I would like to get at a value and store.
Our next guest just made a pick here at the 12 spot, and we'll bring him on right now to tell us all about it. He is a former FSWA Football Writer of the Year finalist. You read all of his work and check out all of his works at rotowire.com. You listen to him on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, a former winner of the Kings Classic Fantasy Football League as well. You follow him on X at Jim Coventry NFL. Please welcome onto the program, Mr. Jim Coventry. Jim, good evening, man. How are you doing?
Great to see everyone. Always good to be a part of this Pros versus Joes.
The 12 spot, I think, I can't remember, somebody said earlier that the right side of the board has been a lot more fun to draft from this year. Was that sort of your analysis too? Were you excited when you found out you had the 12 spot tonight?
Yeah, I like the 12 spot. There has its own challenges, but they all the spots do. But I do like the fact if I want to just be ahead of a run, I could kind of dictate that. Certain players and positions I want to attack. I felt more comfortable waiting on my quarterback and tight end, knowing at the end to kind of dictate where I wanted to grab those players, kind of getting a feel for where they go as it was. So I think it was helpful.
In a true get your guys situation, you did that in the first 2 rounds. Derrick Henry and ADP, according to FantasyMojo in the FFPC Best Ball Tournament at 204, you grab him at 112. Josh Jacobs normally going at the 301, you grab him at the 201 tonight. Jim, it was just it was a couple of YOLO picks here. You are getting your guys right away, and you don't care. Tell us about the thought process between the first turn of Henry and Jacobs for you.
If my theory's right, it's going to help me and people who follow this advice very much in fantasy leagues. And here's the thing. People are talking about running backs, and last year it was an anomaly that nobody got hurt. Well, I don't think so. And I know, Eric, you and I talked about this. I want everybody to hear this. So the base defense in the NFL is the 4-2-5 now. There's basically 2 linebackers on the field, not 3 and 4 anymore. Very rare. And what's happening is NFL teams are starting to say, all right, you're giving us the run. So we're taking the run. But here's the other thing. The linebackers are lighter than ever. They weigh about an average of 230. The 2 linebackers are on the field, so you don't have thumpers hitting anymore. But also, if you only have 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers, you got 5 offensive linemen and a tight end. You got 6 hats to put on 6 people. These running backs aren't taking kill shots. So my thought is these running backs are going to have more space than ever. They're going to get hit less hard than ever. And I think these running backs are going to do great. So taking Henry and Jacobs, I wanted running backs, and I couldn't take Achane because I think you got to buy into Tua Tagovailoa if you buy into him. And the games that Achane had played without Tua, he averaged 9.7 PPR points in those 6 games. Can't deal with that. And Bucky Irving, don't trust it to happen a second year. So these are my 2 running backs that I rate as highest. So it was kind of YOLO, get your guy. But I was not walking out without 2 running backs early because I think they're going to be durable.
And that's the thing too. You mentioned that the only other 2 running backs to go in the second round were Achane and Irving. You already explained why you were avoiding them, and then we didn't see any more running backs going until the 3rd round. Speaking of the 3rd round, you get Davante Adams with the final pick of the 3rd round. Are people sleeping on Adams? You know, everybody and their mother likes to take Puka Nacua, you know, either in the 1st round or the early 2nd round. But we forget about how good Davante Adams has been over the course of his career with multiple quarterbacks. Are people sleeping on Adams a little bit? Clearly, you might think so since you drafted him as your number 1 receiver tonight, Jim.
I do. And again, because I took the 2 running backs early, you know, who was left on the board. Adams at that point, it's Harrison, McLaurin, Mike Evans. I took DJ Moore ahead of time. But Adams, look, he hasn't lost anything. We saw in the last 6 games last year, he averaged 96 yards and a touchdown. He was fine down the stretch. So in Las Vegas, the first part of last season before that hamstring injury in the year prior, quarterback play was bad. So what you're going to see in Los Angeles is pretty easy. We remember different players, but Odell Beckham in 2021. Well, you saw Sean McVay say, I'm going to use this guy for what he is. And that's what Adams. Adams runs those choice routes, and Matthew Stafford, as long as his back holds up, of course, those are going to be money all day long. Nacua is still going to get plenty, but it's going to be a real narrow target share because McVay did not tell the franchise to go after Adams if he did not have plans to feature both of those receivers.
I love this draft, Jim. I definitely would have taken Henry and Jacobs there and done it exactly in the way you've done it. Now, Balky, do you have all of Jim's contact information?
The best way to get a hold of Jim is to go to X and connect with him there at Jim Coventry NFL.
I wanted to get him a little closer because I wanted to share a phone number or some more personal information with some linebackers I know in the NFL that would like to talk you out of some of your observations here. However, I will say that in the weight you may definitely be right, but if you go back a few years, you'll find that not all those linebackers are running in the 4.5s like they are running now. But, hey, you know, you and I can agree to this. None of them are tackling Derrick Henry. Yeah,
Nope.
there's going to have to be at least two to tackle Derrick Henry with some help. And some of them, are just looking the other way. They're still, in coverage when Derrick Henry runs. Congratulations on your team. I love it. I love your Dallas Cowboy quarterback and tight end staff.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, nice some gymnastics getting that done there with Prescott and Ferguson. How good is Justin Fields going to be your number 2 quarterback on this squad here, Jim?
Obviously best ball league, so you want the spike weeks. Justin Fields, 2022, runs for 1,143 yards. Lamar Jackson can't do that. Now, the year after, he missed 4 games, Fields, and he ran for an extrapolated 800 yards with full season. He'll miss time. I get that. He'll probably get nicked up. But last year, he wasn't asked to run those few games in Pittsburgh. And it seems the writing on the wall. The Jets are going to weaponize him. They're not going to not run with him. And so I think that's a huge deal. And that running quarter, you guys all know this. Everybody out there drafting, it's a cheat code in fantasy football. But he's my number 2 quarterback. And so It's beautiful. Dak Prescott, look, he gets hurt, but the 3 healthy seasons in his prior resume, quarterback 2, quarterback 3, and quarterback 7. Not too many quarterbacks have that resume, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it makes perfect sense there, especially when you consider that he's your number 2 quarterback. You already have that nice little ceiling there or a nice little floor there with Dak Prescott to go with Fields. I want to talk about Cedric Tillman here, a player that we have not talked about a lot on this show. Is he actually, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, Jerry Jeudy goes to Darren Armani tonight in the 7th round. You get Tillman in the 11th, and I've heard some pundits out there tell me that Tillman is actually going to be the biggest threat on the Browns roster as far as receiver goes. Like, he could be their number 1 receiver there this year. Do you see a path where that happens, or are you just drafting Tillman as a high upside number 2?
I think they both will see a lot of work. I think Cleveland's defense is not as good as people think. And I loved Cleveland the last few years. I love the personnel, loved Schwartz calling the defense. Mm-hmm. But outside of Myles Garrett, I'm not convinced of the rest of the pass rush. So they just lost Martin Emerson today. All 3 of those corners have name brand, but all 3 have declined in the last 3 years. So they're going to score. And I know the quarterback room, we don't know what it is. I hope Flacco plays. But I think you're going to see Jeudy doing a lot of the underneath work. And I think Tillman's going to get intermediate and downfield. And I think that's ultimately more valuable. Tillman is a beast after the catch. And I think that's where he's really going to feast. The 2 separate roles, but I think they're both involved.
Nick Chubb, is that just like sort of like a let's see what happens play with Mixon being down right now? Or does Chubb, do you think, have some success this year, even if Mixon is healthy to start the 2025 season, Jim?
I really like Nick Chubb because before he came to the NFL, he tore up that knee. Catastrophic injury, came back, good as new, has a great career. Well, now what we have is I believe Chubb. He said he was never going to be healthy last year. Never. Not after that injury in second game of 2023. So what we have happen there is Nick Chubb says, I can squat what I used to squat. He goes, my agility is back to where it was. And then he also follows that up by saying, my speed is back to pre-injury form. I believe him. He's 29. There's not a lot of tread on the tires. I thought before Mixon got hurt that I thought that he could easily overtake Mixon because Mixon was less than the 23rd percentile in broken tackle rate and yards after contact. He was already an inefficient back. It wasn't going to take much, I think, to push him. And now with Mixon missing most of camp, and I know Woody Marks will get involved in the passing game a bit, but if Nick Chubb is even 80% of what he was, Nick Chubb was like Hall of Fame level type running back before. If he's even 80%, he is going to be just fine.
And here's how you know Jim Coventry is a pro. He gave you that entire answer while making not 1 but 2 picks when it came to him.
That's talent. You can't teach that.
Yeah, you cannot teach that. That is just that is inborn. Christian Kirk in the 13th, Marvin Mims in the 14th here. I'll let you wax poetic on these 2 selections that you just made, Jim.
Again, wide receivers, you just want some depth. It's a best ball league. You're going to need some points. Kirk is probably winning that slot job. I don't think Jalen Noel is really going to push him for that. Last year of the deal they traded for when Houston acquired him from Jacksonville. And you already know that C.J. Stroud last year with Stephon Diggs on a 1,000-yard pace running the slot. And at this stage, Kirk's healthy now. I assume he'll have a good floor with a few spike weeks, which will help from those weeks where I have somebody on a bye or somebody hurt. Marvin Mims, what I like, you saw it from maybe week 11 on last year. It was 4 to 5 targets a game, but it was bubble screens and bombs. And he is perfect on those because Peyton schemes those up really well. So Mims gets running in space, and you saw him take plays very long distances. You saw him win deep, so he doesn't need a lot of targets, but he's like a perfect best ball target because he's not going to get 110 targets. He's going to get 75 to 85 targets, but those targets with the big plays, I could maybe get 4 useful weeks out of him, and in the 14th round, to me, that's worth it.
Yeah.
Jim, we are anxiously awaiting. We are less than 3 weeks away before your annual RotoWire Fantasy Football Marathon, which will be held Monday, August 18th, starting bright and early in the morning, go all the way through to late afternoon. And that's going to be on YouTube, right? That we can watch that?
Yes, RotoWire YouTube. I'll definitely tag yourself. Anybody who's on the show will be tagged so they can promote the link back out. But yeah, each analyst, 32 analysts, 32 teams, will get everybody to give a breakdown of the one team each for fantasy. It's going to be a blast.
It always is. I'm excited to hang out with you and talk some New Orleans Saints football, which is, I was going to pick my Packers, but our good friend Stacey Perez beat me to the punch on that one. So she'll be talking Green Bay. That's okay. But Jim, that's not all you're doing. You're churning out a ton of great content for RotoWire. What can viewers, what can readers expect to see from you over these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, on the X at Jim Coventry NFL, a stat of the day, a thread of the day. Always repost my videos there. I have a face for radio, but sorry, I have to be on the video sometimes. I really can't help that. And yeah, so otherwise, that's where you get my material. Rotowire.com. Look, the only way my written articles are behind a paywall, but if you want a subscription to get 15% off, YouTube 15 is the code at rotowire.com. That's where to catch my stuff.
There you
Sirius
go.
XM too. Sirius XM. Sorry, on the
yeah.
weekends.
When are you on Sirius XM? Give us that schedule. We're
being preempted a little bit for live draft coverage, but usually Saturdays and Sundays 2 to 4, and then Wednesday nights late night. I'm on 10 to midnight Eastern time. But yeah, I'll be on 3 days a week.
Best time of the day, Jim. Best
yeah, that is Farrell's time to shine for sure. We are always shining when we listen and watch and read Jim Coventry's content. Check it out at Jim Coventry NFL, rotowire.com. And don't forget about the RotoWire Fantasy Football Marathon coming up Monday, August 18th as well. Jim, enjoy the rest of the draft. Keep up all the great work, man. We'll do this again real soon.
Love your guys' work. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Jim Coventry from RotoWire. Always good to have him on for sure. And we do have another guest waiting in the green room. But before we get to him, I do want to talk about Theo Gremminger's team here real quick, Terp. He has added Tyler Warren and Isaiah Likely to Evan Engram. So Likely, even though he goes down today, Theo is buying the dip. And I would imagine that, I mean, you've done a ton of podcasts. You've drafted a lot with Theo over the years, sharing teams with him. This is a player, a drafter, I should say, that likes buying depressed assets and likely is only going to go up from here, I would think.
100%. I mean, Likely is, obviously with the news that came out today, people are worried, like, is it going to be an injury that jumps into the season? But in this type of format, he is probably one of the best handcuffs in fantasy football at all positions. I mean, if something happens to Mark Andrews, you saw last year early in the season with Likely and obviously when Andrews was banged up, the potential that could be there. He has top 5 tight end, top 3 tight end potential if there was no Mark Andrews. So he's getting a depressed value with the value here. So I'm all aboard. I'm taking shots like this. It's a good time if you're a Likely fan to buy in and get some drafts done because you're getting him at a real nice price to where it's not hurting you in any way, whether it's best ball or whether it's managed. Because he was starting to move, gradually up draft boards with a little bit of hype. But now he's going to start falling because everybody's scared of injuries. So it's a good time to buy Likely, and that's exactly what Theo did.
Farrell, Scott Schoenwolf's team at the 7 spot did not draft a tight end until round 10. He gets a rookie in Colston Loveland there. Does not draft another tight end until round 14. He gets another rookie in Mason Taylor there. For a format like this where you want to take first, although you wouldn't be ashamed to take second and get a brand new pair of socks from Farrell Elliott. But with a team like this, Loveland and Taylor, does he need to push a veteran onto the squad just to get some sort of baseline? Or do you like the whole, hey, look at the upside of Loveland, look at the ceiling of Mason Taylor here? Would you continue down that path of drafting more upside players at tight end for his squad specifically?
I think he needs to get a steady Eddie, and I don't know if he can save the situation. Rookie tight ends are hard selling for me. Especially in the way the game is going and the way the tight end is being used. Now, and we talked about Loveland and the mix of tight ends at his team. No, I think he's in a little bit of trouble, and I'd like to see how he gets out of it. He maybe doesn't think that, but it's our tight end premium league, and premium at 1.5 means a lot here.
The next guest we have to bring up, ladies and gentlemen, we talked earlier with a former Kings Classic champion in 2021 or 2022. No, 2021. Well, the guy who won it in 2020 is this player right here. You've checked out his work at Fantasy Football Today. Of course, he's also a contributor to Fantasy Points as well. A guy who has had no losing seasons in 2.5 decades in high-stakes fantasy football. You follow him on the X at Doug Orth. We welcome him back onto the show, Mr. Doug Orth. Doug, welcome in, man. How's it going tonight?
Doing well. Thank you very much. How are you guys doing?
We're doing excellent, dude. You were drafting from the 10 spot tonight, and I got to tell you, if YouTube decided this league, you would already have won this pre-main event into the 2026 FFPC this main event entry into the 2026 version of the FFPC main event. Everybody loves your team, man. Do you love it as much as everybody else? Because sometimes I know, you have that self-deprecating look at your squad like, well, yeah, I mean, I like this player here, but at the same time, I probably could have done something different here. How are you feeling about your squad from the 10 spot tonight, Doug?
Well, I want Farrell's and Terp's blessing. If I have both of their blessings, then that's almost worth as much as the championship.
I'll make a statement right now. You're my favorite to win the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And now, weren't you right 2 years ago? You were right on this.
I was.
Right?
2 years ago, I said the GOAT District, the guys from the GOAT District would win, and they did win. Last year, I believe I said Billy Muzio would win, and I don't believe he got it done. But this year, I'm pretty confident this is a very, very well-drafted team.
Yeah,
I had the daily double at Churchill Downs Terp in 2013. It was great, man. It was
Hopefully you can retire off that one day.
I love this team and love what you're doing. You're an excellent player, and every player that you have chosen would be a guy that I would target. Do you think these players are they in your plan? Are they falling to you, or how'd you do this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think through at least the first 6 picks, I'm just looking at it here real quick. I think I picked within my first 41 over the first 6 picks. It was something like that.
Well, Doug, here's what we'll do. I want you to get into that. Let's talk us through your pick here, because you're on the clock in the 15th round.
Wow.
Tell us. You just took Ray Davis and Will Shipley in the last 2 rounds. What are you doing here in the 15th?
As you guys can pretty much tell, at this point, I'm just taking upside swings at running back, contingent upside swings at running back, and that's probably going to be maybe not the rest of my draft, but I have 6 picks left. I would imagine at least 3 of them are going to be contingent upside running backs, and this will be one guy here. I'll go ahead and make the pick.
DJ Giddens back up to Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis.
So this is a guy, of course, I liked in the draft process. We're hearing the positive words about him out of camp too. But more than anything, you're looking at somebody. This is somebody who acquired a couple shares of Jonathan Taylor in Dynasty. I want Jonathan Taylor to stay healthy, but as we all know, he hasn't made it through the full season the last 3 years. And at this point in the draft, if I can get 2 or 3 weeks of RB of starter quality time from him, then that's a great value in the 15th round.
Yeah, I think the contingent upside with running backs plays really well, not only for this point of the draft, but the way you built this team early on, Doug, where you get Hampton and Walker as sort of like your mainstays and your foundations, and now you have Stevenson on the squad. I think Scott Hoyt brought up in the chat that Mike Vrabel hasn't exactly played a ton of rookies. So you have Stevenson there. You get Ray Davis, Will Shipley, obviously behind James Cook and Saquon Barkley, respectively. And now Giddens behind Jonathan Taylor. Are you going to go back to the well here in the 16th?
Yeah, I think I have to. I mean, it's the choice between a QB3 here, and I'll probably come back and get my QB3 here shortly. But I'm going to go with Justice Hill here, and we saw what he did a few occasions last year. This being best ball, I don't have to worry about when his 30-yard receiving touchdown is going to come into play. Again, I'm just looking to get 1 or 2 weeks out of some of my running backs at this point.
Justice Hill, the running back for the Baltimore Ravens, goes to Doug Orth's squad at the 1603 as running back 62 tonight. Okay, Doug, we have your entire team on display for everybody on YouTube here from the 10 spot. Tell us, when you knew you had the 10 hole, what your strategy was and how well you executed said strategy tonight from that 10 spot.
Well, I mean, I watched each of the first 5 shows they had here, and I thought there was a better than 50% chance that McCaffrey was going to fall to me. That was kind of the thinking, but if McCaffrey didn't fall to me, I thought McBride probably would. At that point, I thought I'd be probably going running back in the second round if I took McBride. However, I was not expecting my choice of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, and Brian Thomas to be in there to fall in my lap there. So, and then again at that point, now I'm looking at I want to start banging running backs, and 2 of my favorites. I know they're going to be 2 of my favorites this draft season. I love Omari Hampton, especially with this situation right now. And even if it ends up being maybe all he is the feature back weeks 1 through 4, something like that, and then Najee Harris comes in and gets his 40% split or whatever. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. I mean, Harris may not participate in camp at all. Okay, what does Mike Tomlin like to say about? He said that about Rowan Wilson about trying to jump on a moving bus.
Yeah.
Okay. If Omari Hampton's already rolling, why are we changing things? So, and then lastly with Kenneth Walker, and I'll stop with McMillan actually. Kenneth Walker, they're moving to the outside zone, which is a perfect fit for his skill set, and so at this point, I'm just praying that he stays healthy because I think he has 40+ catch upside, plus he's in now the perfect scheme for his rushing talents. And then finally, Tedero McMillan, I have him. I'll have to look at my projections. I believe a top 15 season receiver is very much in the cards for him.
I think that the squad that you have put together here and your explanation of the squad is very strong, Doug. The only remaining question I would have here is we have 4 picks left. We have 31 tight ends off the board, and you only have 1 of them. What is your plan for addressing the purple stickers, virtual stickers on the board yet tonight?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is not what I was hoping. Like, I think pretty much everybody in the 15th, 16th round was hoping Elijah Royal would stay around for their pick. That was kind of my open dream there. I mean, I'm looking at the available tight ends. I'd say I see 2 or 3 upside swings here. Every team's going to have a weakness coming out of this draft, and I'm okay. McBride's probably going to be my starter. 13 weeks out of the season anyway. So hopefully more than that. But there'll be a couple more upside swings. Maybe I don't mind saying it. Maybe like a Terrence Ferguson or one of those rookie guys. It's not who I'm targeting, but that's
yeah. Well, we know, we got it. Doug, you still working at FF today, cranking out great content there. And Fantasy Points, is this a new addition to your resume as well?
Well, yeah, Fantasy Points I started last year. Actually, the new addition to my resume is one I haven't posted on Twitter yet or anything, and I am now the lead editor at The Huddle.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Excellent work, my friend.
So,
very cool.
So anyway, you guys know Corey Benini, right?
Yes.
You familiar with him? Okay, that's who I'm replacing there. He left for a good opportunity, and so I'm the next in line, hoping to fill his big shoes.
I'm sure you'll do that, no question, Doug. And I'm so glad that you hopped aboard tonight to make a couple of picks on air. We'll see what you do with the tight end position the rest of the way. You got 4 picks, and I think if you slam 2 tight ends here, I think you're in really good shape, given the wide receiver cash that you have built, as well as the running back room that has quickly come together here over the last 6 rounds too. So congratulations on a great squad tonight. Everybody seems to love it. Of course, that's the kiss of death. It means it will not compete this year. But you have 3 fans of it here and plenty more watching on YouTube. Congratulations. We will continue to follow you and connect with you on the X at Doug Orth. Keep up the great work, my friend. Don't be a stranger. Let's talk again soon.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
See you, Doug.
That is Doug Orth.
You know, I don't want to, Bucky, I don't want to put words in Terp's mouth, but I will anyway. Based on the fact that Andrews has 1 foot in the grave with Terp and now likely is hurt, I think we can just start. I think we can see a Charlie Kolar move up the boards anytime soon. I think Kolar.
Let's not get crazy here.
Is who's going to get drafted here. Yeah, because, you know, Andrews is through.
I would bet Charlie Kolar hasn't been drafted in a single league yet, and it's probably not going to change.
You know, I was really beating the drum for Tutu Atwell last night. We can't get him drafted here.
I don't. The problem. Okay, so I was in a Kentucky best ball today on the clock in the 27th round, and I was looking for upside, and I did find it in Los Angeles, but it wasn't Atwell. I went with Jordan Whittington, Farrell, because I just feel like in order for either one of those guys to have an impact this year, either Nakua or Adams would have to go down. And I think Whittington steps into either one of those roles a little bit better than Atwell would. So Atwell for me is like my number 4 receiver that I draft for the Rams.
You just brought up something last night about following the money, and that's what I was doing.
Because they gave him $10 million this year?
I think it's closer to 11.
Oh, maybe it was 11. I don't even know. I can tell you, to Terp's point, in the last 30 days, according to FantasyMojo.com, that even in 28-round best ball leagues, Charlie Kolar has been undrafted.
And, you know, Terp, if you were in this league, you could be a first with Kolar.
Maybe for you. I mean, if you can give me a little bit better name than Charlie Kolar, I've wasted 20th round draft picks on a lot of players. Maybe I'll take 20th round Christian Watson this year. If you can give me a legit 20th round pick to take, for
Charlie
you,
Kolar.
I'll do it.
Based on your logic, with likely at Kolar.
Next week, I'm going to be doing a best ball online. Me and Aiden's going to be doing most of the thing, and I'm going to be drafting. We're going to have some fun. If you give me a good 20th round draft pick, I'll take them live on stream here for you, just for you. I'll call it the Farrell Elliott pick, and you know, whoever you want. If you want me to take Charlie Kolar,
no,
I'll really consider for you.
About Kolar, but I just,
Rico Dowdle, guys, just got selected by John Paulsen's squad. John Paulsen, of course, from 4for4.com. He is the backup, we think, to Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. Dave Canales was just talking about this the other day, that when he was asked about Dowdle's role, he said it's going to keep the offensive consistency going when Hubbard needs a break, that Dowdle can come in, catch the ball, run the ball that they need to. What do you guys make of Dowdle? Is he just an injury away type guy, or does he have some standalone value because Hubbard can't touch the ball every single play, or be at least out there for every single Carolina play this year?
I think he has standalone value. I think he's a guy that, you know, where he's being drafted, I feel like he should be going a little bit higher. I like him. I mean, that's not any downgrade at all to Hubbard, but I really do like Dowdle always being drafted. He's a one injury away guy that could be a RB2 that could be really valuable on teams. Like who was just on that was talking about upside? Doug. Mm-hmm. Perfect example. You're taking all these running backs with upside that could be the guy if everything goes right. He took Davis, he took Shipley, he took Giddens, he took Justice Hill in some regard. I feel like Dowdle's right in that category, the Kendry Millers of the world. You're taking some shots, so why not? I mean, I think that's a good pick, and a team that should be better. Bryce Young should be better. McMillan should definitely help, and just I really think Carolina is going to be better than people think they are this year.
I don't like it. I would have taken Bill Merritt and any of other of these players to the right here. Let's go back to team number 9.
I probably would have took Merritt too, personally. I'm more of an upside pick.
Don't be a copycat. It's not becoming.
I'm not copying. I'm trying to not agree with you, but I think.
Well, you just force. It's like a force field of agreement, and it's not. But I think Dowdle has proven himself to be a complimentary NFL player, and so you want to talk upside. That's what you believe in of these players. I think Krosky Merritt has some more upside, and he changed his name to Bill. If he changed his name to Whiskey Bill, Krautwurst would have been happy, but it would have been the same meeting. But we've talked about these late draft stacks, and there's your boy Cameron Ward and the Tennessee receiver Eric A.
The Alec Iamanair you're talking about? Yep.
Yeah.
And he was Mr. Irrelevant last night. He goes a little bit higher in the 17th round. tonight. And guys, I do want to get to one other guest here tonight who's hanging out with us here in the green room. A player that, God, Farrell, we had him on the show a few weeks back. I don't even know how many leagues he's won, 140, 150, 160 leagues over the course of his FFPC career. He is a real one. He's an OG, and he joins us tonight live from the 11 hole. It is Mr. Todd Aaron, the mad genius of fantasy football. Todd, welcome in. Good evening.
There he is.
How is your Pros versus Joes draft going, in your opinion?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Well.
We're having a lot of fun tonight. It's been great covering all 12 teams. We spent a good amount talking about your Chiefs stack here with Worthy, Rice, Kelsey, Mahomes. How much of that was part of the plan, or did it just kind of fall into place and you just kept chasing Chiefs, as it were, in rounds 3 through 6?
Yeah, I set up several scenarios. I guess the one I liked the most was take 2 running backs in the first 2 picks and then try and hit those Chiefs.
Which you did.
Yeah, it worked out, but I had a whole bunch of other scenarios laid out. One was to actually take Nakua and then Adams in the 3rd, and then later get Stafford, because I figured he'd be easy to get pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
But after the Chiefs picks, I just kept getting sniped. So it was tough, but we'll see.
Todd,
I want to finish off here with it.
Who did you get sniped? Who did you get sniped on specifically after you said after those Chiefs guys that you had drafted them? Who did you start getting sniped on?
Let me see.
Pearsall, Debo, Samuel, Cooper, Kupp were the 3 selections right after the Chiefs. I don't know if you were looking at.
I wanted Pittman in the 9th.
You got him.
Yep.
No, you didn't.
No.
He went one before, and then when I took Stafford in the 13th, I thought I could get Kirk coming back, but he got taken right after I picked.
He had other plans. Yeah, Kirk goes one pick after Stafford.
I wanted Jerome. Yeah, and then in the 15th, I was thinking about Giddens, Smith, Ford. I figured I could get 2 of them, and I only got 1.
Taj Brooks is a nice little consolation prize there, though, Todd. Even though you didn't get Giddens or Ford, I like Taj Brooks there for you.
Well, there's another Chiefs receiver that I love for you coming back around. So,
okay,
another Chief
rookie. Oh no,
a lot of hype.
I wanted to take Hollywood Brown too, but he got sniped as well. And then even in the 17th, once again, I wanted De'Ami Brown coming back on the 18th. I thought about taking De'Ami Brown first and then Sonata in the 18th, but I wasn't sure I would get him.
But it is kind of nice, Todd, that you're getting sniped, but you're not getting sniped in the early rounds.
What's that?
You're getting sniped in the late rounds right now, which is obviously better than getting sniped in like rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, like early on.
Yeah, that's true. But I jumped the gun on Rice just because I was able to get Worthy. So I think Rice would have gone much later in the 4th, maybe even early 5th, but he wouldn't come back to me. Mm-hmm. So I took him. And the one I think I could have waited on was Mahomes. I think I could have got him at the 7-11, but there was a chance that I might not. And I already had Worthy, Rice, and Kelsey. I didn't want to take the chance.
Yeah, I think I would have done the same thing as you. I mean, it's supposed to be fun, and I think drafting 4 straight Chiefs that early, especially when this should be the return of the downfield Chiefs passing offense this year, I wouldn't have risked it. I would have done the same thing as you and got Mahomes there. It just would have stunk if, you think when it was coming back in the 7th round, what happens if Michael Nazarek, instead of taking Baker Mayfield, he takes Patrick Mahomes there, and then that ruins it. So I was definitely on board with the Mahomes pick for you there as well. I do want to ask you about Cooper Kupp real quick. Cooper Kupp no longer with the Rams. He is in Seattle. Many people are saying he's dust. You do not believe he is dust in Seattle. You believe that there is something with Cooper Kupp in 2025.
I'm holding out hope. I'm not convinced, but when I got to that spot, again, Pittman went right in front of me, and I was thinking about who I could take, and I didn't like any of the other receivers around there. So I just said, I'm going to go for it. We'll see what happens.
And you got him. Dobbins, I thought, was nice, too. Dobbins going – where did R.J. Harvey go tonight, Farrell? Where are we looking at him?
Round 5?
6'11". 6'11". And then you get J.K. Dobbins in the 10th round here. I thought Eckler was interesting, an interesting pick for you, where you're getting that receiving upside here in the 11th round with him. Speaking of receiving upside, Zach Ertz, who's the number 1 tight end, I believe, in Washington. But it doesn't matter to you because you got Ben Sinnott later. Probably you weren't taking Sinnott unless you already had Ertz, and you've locked up that position. A position, Todd, that could be the number 2 receiving option in that high-powered Jaden Daniels offense in our nation's capital.
Yeah, there's a chance that could work out nice because I don't know if Ertz can make it through the whole season healthy. So we'll see how it goes. I wanted to take Arroyo, but I think everyone wanted to take him.
Yes, yeah.
And I didn't pull the trigger fast enough, so.
Doug said the same thing when he was on too, Todd, that he wanted to get him, and he ends up going at the 14:05 tonight to Michael Nazarek from Fantasy Football Mastermind. You are coming up here. What are you in the hole? You have just taken Raheem Mostert, one of Farrell's favorites here in the 18th round. A couple of picks before we get to you here. I don't know. Like, you have a balanced squad. You have 3 tight ends. You have 3 quarterbacks. I'm looking at the receivers. Only 5. Maybe you could go that direction.
Yeah, more receivers.
Or you could.
Yeah, I'm going to take 2 receivers.
2 receivers. Okay, 2 receivers to end it. You heard it here first. Todd Aaron, the 160-plus time FFPC league champ, is going to go with 2 receivers to end his draft tonight. Sean Tucker goes to Eric Young, the FFPC Joe, here at the 1909. Doug Orth, a guy who just commented in the YouTube chat.
Don't snipe him again, Doug.
He said the best feeling is hearing that you sniped somebody. So he was glad to hear that he sniped you a couple of times, Todd. We'll see if he does snipe you again here at the 1910. He goes, Kyle Monungai. So you've survived it here. What are you doing at the 1911 for receiver, Todd?
It looks pretty bleak, but I think I'll take a shot. You talked about this guy earlier, thinking that he might not do much. But I'm going to take Jalen Noel.
Jalen Noel will end up going to Team Mad Genius of Fantasy Football with his penultimate pick tonight. Jalen Noel, who is playing alongside Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk, and Jaden Higgins in Houston. The first pick of the 20th round is Amari Cooper, who is Sans team right now, but we'll see where he lands. And Todd, you are now on the clock for your final pick of the night. Who's it going to be?
I see Tutu Atwell, but I can't do it, guys.
There's another Chief.
There is another Chief. But I think I'm going to take Tyler Lockett. I think
I like that. I like that a lot.
Tyler Lockett, the longtime Seahawk, now Tennessee Titan. I didn't realize that you did add a 5th Chief in Brashard Smith here, which I guess I knew you added him. I didn't compute 2 and 2 together with you getting a 5th Kansas City Chief on this roster. You just like you said, Todd, you have ended it with 2 receivers in Jalen Noel and Tyler Lockett. Congratulations on your Pros versus Joes squad this year. Good luck to you, not only in Pros versus Joes, but good luck to you in the main event and all the other leagues you are participating in. Certainly so glad to have you on tonight once again. I know we had you on the show a few weeks ago. Fun times talking with you then. Fun times talking with you now. Be good. Don't be a stranger. Let's talk again real soon.
Sounds good. I enjoyed it. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for everything,
You got
Todd.
it. Absolutely. Todd Aaron, the Mad Genius of Fantasy Football, joining us here on the show as we enter the final round of Pros versus Joes 2025. And what a ride it's been, Farrell.
What happened to Turk?
I assume he was on dad duty because I know his kids
Okay, no,
it gets bad at bedtime, I guess, sometimes. So he told me that might happen. But as we look at the pros versus Joe's drafts this year, and all 6 of them, I think they were all fun. They all had different aspects to them that were unique. We saw a lot of different strategies employed. We saw some things that I didn't think we were going to see, and certainly the main takeaway I have is, and I know there's 84 drafters. We just cover 72 of them here because we don't cover the slow draft. All of them took it pretty seriously. All of them are out for the main event free team in 2026, but they will happily settle for second place and the socks that Farrell Elliott will be supplying for the runners up this year. Great job by you again this year, my friend. So much fun to hang out and call these drafts. It was a blast.
We were here and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about drafting from these guys. It makes me want to get on my horse and head to Las Vegas, but I'll get to fly instead. So I'm looking forward to it.
We have let's see how many picks left here. 7 picks left. Elijah Mitchell, that would have been an interesting play for Todd here if you wanted to go with a non-receiver, but still a chief here in the 20th round. He ends up not taking him. He goes with Tyler Lockett, which you love the pick, not as much as you love Scott Schoenwell's pick of Tutu Atwell here.
There you go, Scott.
He ends up drafting 5 tight ends. We talked about his squad earlier, how he didn't draft the tight end until round 10. He ends with 5 of them. Loveland, Mason Taylor, Juwan Johnson, Tyler Higbee, a couple, and Tyler Conklin, by the way, too. So kind of 3 steady eddies to go with those 2 upside guys. You think 5 tight ends was overkill, even though he didn't draft one until round 10?
Yes, sir. And that's the danger that you can get in when you wait too long. So let's hope for Loveland to deliver what we thought he might be able to deliver earlier in the season.
I'm looking at this here. We had Joseph on X. Any comments on Team 9 with 2 tight ends with the same bye? I'm not seeing that. Tucker Kraft, Brenton Strange, Jatavian Sanders are the 3 tight ends for Eric Young, who's Team 9. They all have different buys. Maybe he's talking about Michael Nazarek's team at Team 8. Goddard and Njoku both have the same buy, but he's got Elijah Arroyo, who does not, in the 14th round. So he's good to go there.
This late at night, you begin to see things. You
Yes.
begin to see things that aren't necessarily there.
Yoshivas is the pick for Darren Armani here, his final pick of the draft. It seems like he's probably got the inside track on the Bengals number 3 receiving job. Is that the way you view it as well over Jermaine Burton?
I think he's got more in a track. I think he's got a
locked up. Okay. All right. Your boy Tyler Shuck goes to Nick Thompson here. His quarterback trio is Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Tyler Shuck here. There's a lot of youth here. And quite frankly, you're looking at 2 years combined NFL experience, really just over 1 year, because Penix only had the handful of games at the end. And then he also adds 5 tight ends on this squad: Kincaid, Freiermuth, Schultz, Waller, and Gray. I always talk about, I talked about just a few minutes ago how we've seen some stuff I didn't expect to see. Didn't expect to see that combination of quarterbacks and tight ends. That's a fun team, too.
Is he a pro or a Joe?
He's a Joe. Nick Thompson's a Joe. Long-time FFPC player, though.
Yeah, how do you pick on a guy if you don't like his 20th round pick? I like his tight ends.
Yeah.
I like his tight ends. He didn't have to pick Noah Gray. Maybe was that an auto pick?
That was an auto pick. Yeah.
Maybe he's already gone to bed. But you know what? And you ask about his quarterbacks. I think by waiting, he even got more than what he paid for those quarterbacks. So I've for value, if you want to assess it just based on value, good job. And I like the Shuck Shaheed stack.
Yeah, that's interesting there too. And then, he gets Drake London and Michael Penix together too, Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix. So there's a lot of little mini stacks on this squad.
He did exactly what he wanted to do, I think.
Yeah, I think he did a very good job. And I think that given his focus on running backs and receivers through the first 8 rounds really sets him up for a good core of success. And if those quarterbacks hit, if even one of them hits, you're looking at a contender for a 2026 FFPC main event. We have come to the final pick, Mr. Irrelevant, John Rozek. He's not Mr. Irrelevant, but John Rozek is going to make the pick for Mr. Irrelevant for Pros versus Joe's 2025, and it is Trevor Etienne in Carolina, and that will complete tonight's live draft of the FFPC Pros versus Joe's Division number 6. This is the Rolling Stones division. And boy, we rolled through a lot tonight. It was a lot of fun, Farrell. I'm glad you were here. And I'm glad Terp was here when he could be as well. You and I will reconvene live in Appleton, Wisconsin on Friday night for FFPC Big Gorilla coverage. We're going to be joined by the FFPC Zone, Aiden LaCorey. I know you have to bounce out a little bit early, but that's okay because Aiden and I will keep the ship floating and onward as we press through there. KFFSC.com is where to go. The Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Spots open live in Northern Kentucky and Louisville, where I'll be. Darren Armani will be. Terp will not be. But Farrell will be there as well. So we encourage you to check that out, KFFSC.com. And if you can't make it, plenty of online stuff going on as well, Farrell.
And I appreciate that. We're probably as close to being a sellout. And if I get a couple phone calls tomorrow, our live event is largely going to be sold out, Balky, and then we will start to spend the month of August building our online business. We're going to have some attractive times and offers, and being on the show has been a real benefit of that. So I'd like to thank you for supporting the league and giving me the opportunity to talk to all these great players about coming to Kentucky and priming their game for the FFPC and our appearance in September at the Paris Hotel and Casino.
Yeah, a lot of FFPC players will play in Kentucky as well. They'll draft live in Kentucky as good prep for the FFPC main event and all the live events that we have going on at Paris. It's always fun. It's the highlight of my fantasy football season. I will see you then, but I will see you on Friday live in Appleton, Wisconsin, man. I will be in touch with you then.
Thank you, sir.
Farrell Elliott is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. He joins me tonight for the final night of Pros versus Joes 2025. If you like this program, the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, it normally airs live right here on the FFPC socials, 10 p.m. Eastern time, each and every Friday night, and that is year round. We do not take weeks off. I want to remind you that the FFPC main event, the FFPC Big Gorilla, and Best Ball and Superflex tournaments, as well as FFPC Dynasty Leagues, are live at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. That is where to go to play in those events. 2 separate $1 million grand prizes. We've added a 6-figure runner-up prize for our $125 best ball tournament this year. And our Superflex best ball tournament, it's only going to set you back $35 and you can win $100,000 on that. Dynasty startups, that's the place to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. 2,000 plus leagues, and in 15 years, we've never had a league full. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be tomorrow. I will not be on, but you're going to have live FFPC main event coverage. Dave Tripoli and Aiden LaCorey will be joined by Ryan Kramer and Sean Green, who you saw on this program last night, the sports gambling podcast hosts. They will be joining us for FFPC live main event coverage tomorrow. Thursday night, Justin Herzig from Establish the Run, live at 7 p.m. Eastern time on the Better Sports Network. Myself and him, as well as the FFPC socials for insider access, will be covering an FFPC best ball tournament. And as I pointed out, Aiden LaCorey, Farrell Elliott, and I covering a live FFPC Big Gorilla draft this Friday. Live draft coverage rolls on every single night this week. We're going to have it for you. We've never done it before. 6 nights, 6 drafts. It's a lot of fun. And then you can take Saturday night off from watching us and drafting the Big Gorilla, the main event, or what have you that day. I want to thank Darren Armani, Jim Coventry, Doug Orth, Todd Aaron, Farrell Elliott, Dave Tripoli, the FFPC, our producer and mutual friend Rob, audio engineer, and my best friend Bryce, and of course, all of you who streamed this, who listened to it, who watched it. It was quite a ride for Pros versus Joes again this season. I always love doing these drafts every year. Love commentating it. Love bringing you the coverage and learning the insight, not only from everybody on YouTube, but all the players that we had on as guests. I want to thank everybody who hopped on the broadcast, who was in these drafts, made it that much more enjoyable for me as well. So for Farrell Elliott, for Dave Tripoli, I'm Eric Balkman. This has been the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour live for FFPC Pros versus Joes coverage for 2025. We'll put it in the books and we'll move on to main event, best ball, and Big Gorilla coverage the rest of the week. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember to play at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Your week officially continues now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Farrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Want to remind everybody, too, if you want to participate in any of these drafts we're covering, the main event and tomorrow and the Big Gorilla are filled for Wednesday and Friday. However, the Insider Access Best Ball Tournament Draft, which starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, still has 4 spots left. So you go to myffpc.com right now. You can register for that and draft live. And Justin Herzig and I will cover it for you right here on the Better Sports Network, the FFPC socials for Insider Access. Be good, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow with Ryan Kramer, Sean Green, Aiden LaCour, and Dave Tripoli with FFPC Main Event Draft coverage.